Begin by erasing the fairy tale. Your entire life, you've been fed a simple, comforting equation. Increase your skill, increase your value, increase your social reward. This is the meritocratic lie, and it has made you weak. It has programmed you to seek validation from the very systems you are outgrowing. You believed that mastery would bring you closer to others, respect, camaraderie, a seat at the table. You were mistaken. You were building your own cage. Understand the correct equation. True high-order skill is not an extension of the herd. It is a deviation. It is a genetic mutation in a world of copies. And what is the primary biological function of any collective? To preserve its median, its predictable average. Your growing capability is a statistical anomaly. The herd does not celebrate anomalies. It identifies them. It quarantines them. Your skill, once it passes a certain threshold, ceases to be an asset in the eyes of the collective and becomes a threat vector. Your diligence is now arrogance. Your talent is now a disturbance. This is the lens shift. Stop viewing your isolation as a failure of social integration. That is the victim's perspective. Start viewing it as a diagnostic tool. The discomfort you feel, the sidelong glances, the sudden exclusion from trivial confidences, the forced mediocrity of team building, these are not signs that you are failing. They are signals that you are succeeding. The immune system of the mediocre has detected a foreign body. The isolation is not happening to you. It is happening for you. It is the friction of leaving the atmosphere. Now you must decide, will you apologize for the heat of re-entry, or will you accept that you are no longer made for that world? Forget what you've been told about. It is not a sin. It is not a petty emotion of the weak. This moral framing is another pacification program. Envy is a sophisticated social calibration algorithm hardwired into human nature. Its purpose is not to shame the envious, but to control you, to limit your ascent, to enforce the ceiling. When you trigger envy, you have not failed socially. You have successfully activated the primary defense mechanism of the status hierarchy. Recognize it for what it is, a tribute. Your skill has become a form of power, and envy is the involuntary tax levied upon it. This tax is collected in subtle, non-monetary currency. It is paid in withheld support, in muted praise that carries a bitter aftertaste, in the friendly advice to slow down. You will hear phrases like, "Don't burn yourself out," or "We don't want to set unrealistic expectations." Translate these. They mean you are making the collective average look bad. You are raising the cost of participation for everyone. Dim your light. The mechanism operates through a simple psychological trick. It inverts cause and effect. Your excellence is framed as the cause of their discomfort, rather than their own inadequacy being the cause of their envy. You are made responsible for their emotional state. This is the trap. To accept this blame is to agree to cap your own potential. Do not internalize this tax. See the mechanism clearly and you disarm it. The envy is not a sign you are being too much, but that they are having just enough. Their reaction is a measure of your progress, a gauge on your instrument panel. When the whispers start, the backhanded compliments begin. The camaraderie cools. Consult this gauge. It is confirming your altitude. The goal is not to avoid triggering envy. That is impossible for anyone moving upward with velocity. The goal is to cease fearing it, to stop letting its silent threat dictate your speed. Let them pay their tax. You have more important territories to claim. The isolation born of skill is not a monolithic experience. It manifests according to the nature of your power and the blindness of the herd. You will find yourself cast into one of three roles. These are not choices, they are diagnosis. Identify yours. The sovereign is isolated through fear. His competence translates directly into authority, clarity, and an unwillingness to suffer fools. The herd does not hate him. It is terrified of his judgment. His skill makes their excuses transparent, so they exile him to preserve their own fragile self-narrative. He is left alone not because he is unapproachable, but because his presence is a silent verdict. The oracle is isolated through incomprehension. His skill is in a domain so niche, so advanced, or so abstract that it becomes a language the tribe cannot speak. His insights are not rejected. They are simply not perceived as valuable currency. The herd operates on a barter system of simple, transactional social goods: gossip, affirmation, shared trivialities. The oracle deals in a foreign capital. His isolation is that of a radio telescope, listening for signals in a marketplace, shouting about the weather. He is not hated. He is irrelevant to their immediate sensory world, and thus strategically ignored. Finally, the blacksmith is isolated through instrumentalization. This is the most insidious cage. His skill is recognized, valued, and brutally exploited. But he is not. The herd sees the utility, not the man. They will lavish praise on his outputs while remaining utterly indifferent to his mind, his sovereignty, his boundaries. He becomes a tool. His isolation is the loneliness of the anvil, central to the process, essential to the creation, but ultimately a piece of infrastructure to be used until worn out. He is surrounded by people, yet completely unseen. Understand this: your archetype dictates the geometry of your prison walls. But a prisoner who understands the blueprint of his cell is no longer just a prisoner. He is an architect studying a flawed design. Let history be your corroborating witness. Look beyond the sanitized biographies and national myths. The pattern is written in blood, ink, and silence. The innovator is not celebrated in his time. He is bankrupted. The prophet is not heard. He is stoned. The general who secures the peace is not rewarded. He is recalled, tried for treason, and forced to drink hemlock. This is not tragedy. This is protocol. Social organisms, from a peasant village to a corporate empire, operate on equilibrium. Excellence is a destabilizing force. It creates asymmetries, demands change, and renders existing hierarchies obsolete. The system's immune response is always suppression, co-option, or exile. Consider the fate of the court advisor who was too insightful. He wasn't promoted to king. He was beheaded for ambition or sorcery. Recall the engineer whose invention threatened the entire industry's livelihood. He wasn't given an award. His patents were stolen. His reputation slandered. His workshops burned. Their crime was not failure, but a success so potent it endangered the existing power topology. Your modern workplace, your social circle, is merely a softer-edged court. The mechanisms are more legal, the poison more psychological, but the underlying calculus is ancient. That which exceeds the standard must be normalized or neutralized. Your skill, if it cannot be easily controlled, will be framed as a problem to be managed. This is the core of human nature you must accept. Mediocrity is a coalition. It is a silent pact of mutual non-aggression. You do not challenge my comfort, and I will not challenge yours. Your pursuit of skill is a breach of this contract. You have, by your very growth, declared a form of secession. Do not be surprised when the coalition acts to preserve itself. The cold truth is this: your isolation is not a bug in the system of human achievement. It is a feature. It is the shadow cast by your own growing light. To be distressed by this is to be distressed by gravity. The question is not how to stop casting a shadow, but how to build in the light that you alone can provide. Passive suffering is for the herd. Your isolation is not a fate to endure. It is a condition to master, a territory to claim. The moment you recognize the mechanism, your obligation shifts from integration to strategic severance. This begins with an audit of your dependencies. Every tether you have to the herd's validation, their praise, their companionship, their consensus, is a point of leverage they can use to pull you back into the median. You must preemptively cut these tethers. This is not emotional repression. It is strategic divestment. You stop seeking their applause, and in doing so, you drain their primary currency of any value over you. Your approval must become an internally generated resource. Next, you weaponize the distance they have imposed. Physical and psychological space is not loneliness. It is a workshop. It is the cleared ground necessary to build structures they cannot comprehend. Use this exile to double down on the very skill that caused it. The isolation is your competitive advantage. Uninterrupted focus, freedom from the consensus trance, liberation from the endless performance of sociability. While they are busy maintaining the coalition of mediocrity, you are forging the next iteration of your capability. Their rejection is the gift of time. Stop mourning it and start exploiting it. Convert every slight, every exclusion into fuel for a deeper, more formidable specialization. Finally, establish your terms for re-engagement if you choose to engage at all. You do not return to the herd as a prodigal son seeking acceptance. You return as a sovereign entity offering limited transactional value. You set the boundaries. You define the projects. You control the intensity and duration of exposure. This transforms your relationship with the collective from one of belonging to one of alliance. Alliances are formed between distinct powers for mutual benefit, not between cells of the same organism. You are no longer a cell hoping not to be rejected. You are a distinct power, deciding whether the herd is a useful tool for your objectives. The cage becomes a border, and you hold the passport. The final step is identity death. You must execute the man who believed he needed the herd. That man was a fiction, a larval identity built for survival in a system you have now outgrown. His desires for belonging, for comfort in consensus, for easy camaraderie, were the desires of a different species. You are not a lonely expert. You are a sovereign whose nation is his competence, whose citizens are his disciplines, and whose borders are marked by the limit of his focus. The herd's rejection is not evidence of your failure to connect. It is the border patrol of your new nation turning them away at the checkpoint. They do not have the right visa. This new identity is forged in the cold fire of self-authority. Your validation is the precision of your craft. Your companionship is the dialogue with the great minds who have walked this path before you, accessed through their works. Your community is not horizontal among peers, but vertical, across time with others who paid the same price. You no longer look sideways for approval. You look inward for calibration and upward at the next summit of mastery. The emotional landscape changes entirely. The ache of loneliness is replaced by the quiet intensity of a craftsman in his workshop at midnight. The noise of the crowd is replaced by the signal of your own progress. You now occupy the unseen hierarchy. This is a parallel structure of power, invisible to those fixated on social rank and titles. In this hierarchy, status is derived from autonomy, resilience, and the irreversible accretion of skill. Your isolation is your rank insignia. Every attempt to drag you back to the median is a confirmation of your promotion. When you fully inhabit this identity, a profound inversion occurs. You no longer fear being isolated. You begin to fear being reabsorbed. The greatest threat is not exile, but the seductive call to return to the warm, numb womb of the collective. To guard against this, you must wear your isolation not as a scar, but as a crown only you can see. It is the proof that you have traded the fiction of belonging for the reality of sovereignty. The transaction is complete. You are alone because you are complete. The unavoidable cost, your elite CTA. The warning Machiavelli implied is this: all value of consequence carries a commensurate, non-negotiable cost. For supreme skill, the currency is solitude. You do not get to choose the price. You only get to choose whether to pay it. The herd will pathologize this cost, call it a disorder, a lack of soft skills, a tragedy. You will recognize this as the final defense mechanism, their attempt to pathologize your sovereignty to make their own confinement seem healthy. Your call to action is not to join another group. It is to descend deeper into your craft until the noise of the world fades into statistical insignificance. Your mission is to become so skilled, so formidable, so self-contained that their isolation of you becomes irrelevant. You will reach a point where you are not merely isolated from them, but they are isolated from you, from your understanding, from your realities, from the future you are building. They are ghosts in your rear view, growing smaller. The question is no longer, how do I avoid this isolation? The only question worth your breath is, what will I build in the silence they have given me? Go build it. The silence is your domain. Now rule it.